everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 218. Here we are, the 1st of September, 2021. Where has the time gone? Well, we've got our regular panel, as we do almost every week with us. Mr. Casey Green joins us from the D.C. area, just finishing up his dinner. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing all right. They released another software update on me, so I had to stop the one I was working on, and I've filmed this one. And so tonight I plan to get the footage off the camera and then start laying it out, and then hopefully there's another software update before I get it out. So
you realize that they watch you through cameras, right? And they know exactly where you are in putting that video together and said, time to release a new one.
He's about to release those complaints to the world.
Send the update.
Yes. Shut him up.
Also with us, Mr. Patrick Connor joins us from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. I'm envious of all these software updates. As an AP1 vehicle, I get like every fourth one. So Christmas is way less frequent around here in AP1 land.
Absolutely. But you still get some, which is a big plus over other cars, right?
That's true, and I heard that there is a famous video game developer who also has an old vehicle like me and is working with Tesla to make it a little more snappy. So I look forward to these updates. Yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me of my, when you said that, it reminds me of my Chevy Volt, the 2012 one, where they added in the power display where it showed you where all the power was going. And the car knew, because if you turned on the air conditioner, the range would drop.
Mm-hmm.
If you turned it back off, it would go up. And if you turned the radio the wrong way, it would do something else. And so I totally get from 2011 to 2012 where they added the external door sensors. Okay, you need new hardware for that. Okay, so you need a new car. But add that little screen on what they call the DIC, the driver information cluster. They added one more card to the software, and it's like, all right, here's $200. Update my software. No, we don't do that. You got to buy a whole new car. So it's $40,000 for the one new card. Thankfully, that car was like partially lemoned, so I got a 2013. Just to get the little Tesla's added features on both of my cars, well after they got their money.
Yeah, Tesla doesn't do things the way other car companies do, and that's why they're worthy of an awesome show like this.
Exactly.
Well, let's get to the news. We got a ton of it as regular. First story we're going to touch upon is, of course, the new Tesla mobile app has appeared, and it has rolled out to Apple owners. Android apparently has not been rolled out as of this taping of this live show. I think, actually, I know a friend of the show, High Mileage Rob, he was able to grab the Android version and sideload it into his Android phone. I didn't know if there were any problems with it. He had indicated it was working when he did the sideload, but I was able to update mine after about a day. I have an Apple phone and was able to download and take a look at it, play with it a little bit. Integration with Siri was interesting for me. That was new. And another piece that they fixed, which was really kind of nice, is that when you give it a Siri command, for example, the phone, if it hasn't been logged in to the app, it'll log in the background.
Oh, nice.
And then send you the update. So you don't have to log into the application and have it running on your phone before you give it a Siri command, which certainly would have been the case previously. But that has now changed as well. So that was kind of a cool update. And of course, the UI looks completely different. A lot more minimalistic. Seems to be a lot more, I guess, it seems more black to me. Like it's very black intensive. Whereas the other app would have some buttons and things that would be white or larger pieces of the white color over the black. But it's now gone to basically a black background with the buttons just being the letters of the button's name. So a lot of that has changed definitely the look and feel of the app. But play with it a little bit, and it's it's good. I don't have any complaints. Have you guys seen it all? I'm not sure, Patrick. if you have a Apple or Android phone. I wasn't even sure.
So it finally works on iPad. I mean, not that it didn't work on iPad before, but it was that stupid 2X where it was like, it doesn't work because it doesn't fit because it was made in 2007. But now it doesn't quite do full screen, but it's more aware that it's got more room to work with. And so it looks decent on the iPad. Like, it doesn't have that old keyboard, and it's nice. The reason I didn't sideload it on my Android for several reasons. I didn't want anything to happen to the car or somebody else with my use of the app. I didn't want to also expose myself to anything with the app because I didn't know why they pulled it so quickly. But I did see, I don't know if this is the software I'm on or if this is them getting the system ready. But when I went to do my Smart Summon tests today, it didn't work quite the way I expected it to. Like, even if sometimes when like for some reason it's asleep, even though it's in the Smart Summon ready, like where you have to manually classic summon it forward or back for a minute and then switch back to Smart Summon, like I didn't get the come to me anywhere on the front page, like at all for it first, and that's not in there on the new one. On the new one, you have to go to summon, and then so then I did go in, and then I went into Smart Summon, and then I called it to me, and then come to me summon happened back on the front page again. But it doesn't have the radar circle view anymore. It's just gone. So it's like they were already ready for this old version of the Android one to be gone, but something made them take it back. And then this one is probably the update to the car. When I Smart Summoned it to me, it's still coming right at me like it was on the last one, but now it presents the passenger door, which isn't quite useful for this driver calling it up. And this one is definitely the software, but they removed the tick marks on the gauge for the power, so it doesn't tell you 100 kilowatts, 75 kilowatts, 50 kilowatts, 400, or whatever your maximum is. In my case, it's 450 because it's a P100D. Now it's just an arc, so it's like a curved version of that thing that you have in the Model 3, but it's green and an orange instead of black and green, which I complained about in a private group.
Yeah, I don't have the app yet, the update. But the Android version already had one of the cool new features that I guess is rolling out with this, and that is go off grid. Yeah, so with the power walls on the side of the house, if like right now I've been running on battery for about an hour, I could just click go off grid, and the solar would run the house and refill the batteries if there's enough of it. So, which is weird because right now, like I said, we go off grid. Well, not technically off grid. We run on batteries every day, weekdays from 3 to 8 because that is the peak time here. And so instead of paying peak rates, I use the battery. But there's just this weird thing where when it's using the battery, it's just sending all the solar to the grid. And I'm not sure why they do it that way. I probably because I have it in cost savings mode and it thinks I'm getting something from that, but I'm really only getting net metering, so there's no reason to do that. And it does have other modes. I could have it in balanced mode or what's the other one where you're self-reliant or self-sustaining or whatever, where it minimizes grid use.
Self-powered. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, self-powered. Yeah, I could have it in that mode. But it does some other weird stuff in that mode that I didn't like. Running the battery at mid-peak made no sense to me. Anyway, so I have it in this cost savings mode. So what I could do instead now, if it's keep it this way, but then like it now, after I've been running on the battery for an hour, just go off grid, and then I'll keep all that solar and it'll recharge the battery. And if the battery gets full, I could go back to letting it feed the grid. So anyway, yeah, that's a cool new feature I haven't played with yet that I'm going to start messing with soon.
So previous to this, what would you have to do to go off grid?
Go flip the breaker switch outside.
And then there's no recourse with that. If you manually flipped it off grid and then you run out of power while you're asleep, then you lose power. Whereas with this button, it will just go back on grid, assuming that there's power. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Some of our friends in the southern hemisphere have pointed out that the battery bacon, so you'll have your battery snowflake still, but the battery heating is now 3 bacon lines next to the mileage and the battery icon in the app.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Derek was first in chat today.
seasons are different in the southern hemisphere than they are up here.
Absolutely.
So they were seeing the snowflake in winter.
Yes.
I'm sorry, with snowflake in summer and hot in winter. So
Either that or somebody in the northern hemisphere has got a good car-sized cooler.
Yeah, so does the snowflake mean it's cold or that it's cooling? No.
So the snowflake means that the battery capacity has been reduced because some of the
Yes.
charge has been locked out. I know Patrick knows that, but for those of you that are new to Tesla, that's what that is.
Very good. Well, on to our second story, and apparently, what gets stuck in Vegas stays in Vegas. And Patrick has a story about that.
That's right. Yes. So somebody in Vegas wanted to charge up their Tesla, and these barriers that are in the way, I can just go around those because obviously the charging station is over here, right? And here's a down ramp. I should go this way, right? Oh, I'm in a boring tunnel. I'm sure the chargers are on the other side of this, right? So yeah, somebody took their Tesla, supposedly looking for charging stations, and ended up in the boring tunnel. So from the report, they were when they were approached, they were very cooperative, and so I don't think this was somebody just joyriding, but Mark and I were wondering if it was Casey, because Casey wants to know when he's going to get to drive in a boring tunnel.
It wasn't me. So when I read about this and then I heard the excuse, I immediately thought of Wrong Way Corrigan.
Yeah. So maybe Tesla needs to, or the Boring Company needs to upgrade a few of those barriers to make it a little more difficult.
They say they have. They said they've adjusted their protocol and everything. And for those of you guys who don't know, Wrong Way Corrigan is Douglas Corrigan. He took off from New York and was headed to California and ended up in Dublin instead. Dublin, Ireland. He'd always wanted to go, and it just, everybody asked him for the rest of his life, all right, so what's the real story? And he stuck to it. Like, no, I ended up the wrong way.
Yeah, so
I was looking for charging. Yeah.
So apparently these the surface stations at the boring tunnel in Las Vegas, there's two of them. Yes. Apparently they block access through concrete barriers and gates. And I guess
wonder if it was tailgating.
Some of the concrete barriers were either a little bit too far apart or a gate was up. They didn't indicate what the problem or what actually caused it. But I found it funny that this person, if it's legit, they're looking around, they see a whole bunch of Teslas going down a ramp, and they're going, well, that's where the charging is, obviously.
Right.
I'm just going to follow the parade.
In Atlantic Station in Atlanta, they're underground. So I wonder if it was like up and they followed like a driver in, like they had like a shift change or a charging situation, and they just followed a boring loop driver in, and then like, what are you doing in here?
Yeah. So it would have made it tougher to spot, a trespasser if they had an X3 or a Y, because of course that's what they use there. I believe there are stickers on the boring tunnel cars. They do have
that
stickers.
one's missing the stickers. What happened?
But it's like I didn't get my sticker yet.
That's not Cindy.
Yeah, maybe they need some more less subtle graphics, more prominent.
So another note on the Boring Company or Boring Tunnel Las Vegas is they indicated they were adding another 3 cars to the mix. I guess going up from 67 to 70, and they indicated that full self-driving was coming to the tunnels soon.
Yes, so, that makes a lot of sense to me. That that's a controlled environment. And that should be the first place they roll out full self-driving. In fact, I'll make a prediction that we won't see it on city streets until at least 2 years after it's active in the boring tunnel.
Oh, you mean non-beta?
Right. Yes.
Okay. Because if it's 2 years before I get to push that stupid button and it's been in the tunnels, I'm gonna be upset.
Right. Yes. We'll all have it in beta form soon. I hope 3 weeks. Right. 3 weeks left. Is that
3 weeks left?
3
Yeah.
weeks
Because
left.
Elon defined 2 weeks and 2 days, but didn't say 2 weeks.
Right.
Exactly. So so if you're in Vegas and you need a charge, you know where to go.
Not the boring loop.
Right. Yes. Yeah. There is what is the name of the big wheel there? Isn't it the loop? Or
Yeah, that they got the key card underneath with the code on your screen.
but they
I forget
call
what it's called.
they call the wheel the high roller.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
wow.
yes. Yeah, go for the high roller, not the loop.
Yeah.
They're both circular, sort of, but
They have a circular name in both of them.
right. Yes. So, can I segue this one, Mark?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, speaking of the tunnels, on this show, as we said, Casey has been wondering about when other vehicles will be allowed down in there, and I said never. That the Boring Company is using that for transportation, and then I started thinking about it and wondering. So we know that Tesla is working on the Tesla network, their ride-hail system, and they have talked about maybe doing some early release of that. Well, if, as I just said, I think that full self-driving will work in the tunnels first, why couldn't they have a ride-hail system that allowed for human drivers on the city streets? And then the cool thing that they'd be able to do is drop down into the tunnels to get around traffic and then pop out on the other side of town and then allow the human driver to take over again. And knowing how Tesla, they love to cross-promote stuff. And so we've seen that when they take the astronauts out for SpaceX, that's in a Model X, and that SpaceX launched a Roadster. And here in the Boring Tunnel, they're using Teslas. So there's a lot of cross promotion. So why couldn't the ride-hailing Tesla network, that's coming soon, use the Boring Tunnels in the cities that allow it, that have it? And especially if you're going to the airport, well, okay, yeah,
Or the beach?
I can. Yeah, or any major attraction in a city, or just getting across town where there's so much traffic, because it's always rush hour nowadays. There's just so many people. And so if you could avoid all that by slipping into a tunnel and popping out where you need to be, and then have a human driver finish that for you for door-to-door service, that would be incredible. So that's my latest story on carswithcores.net about how Casey was right.
Very good. Very good. So that's a distinct possibility, Patrick. I certainly agree with the cross promotion thing. They'd love to do it. And that would be, extra mileage for both companies. So absolutely makes sense. And of course, if we're correct about full self-driving first going into tunnels, the car recognizing where it is and what it's about to enter into could switch automatically to tunnel mode, FSD, and away it goes, and then pops out on the other side and relinquishes driving control to the driver. It makes complete sense.
Yep.
Next story. Oh yeah, this is kind of interesting. Those of you who own a 3 or a Y, you know that you got a little key card with your car. Actually, 2 of them came in a packet when you purchased the car. And those keys, those auxiliary keys, are in case maybe your phone doesn't work, or maybe your phone's out of power or whatever. You have or you've given the car to a friend or a family member to use.
Or valet.
That's right. They can use the key. I'd never give my car to a valet. Not going to happen. But anyways, that's just me.
Me too.
With the card, you're required to swipe it on the B pillar to unlock the door. And then you were required to place the card on the console near the armrest when you wanted to drive the car. And actually, I believe I've got a photo of that.
While you're pulling that up, another option is right here. You can get a ring that has the RFID built into it, and then just tap.
So as you get the instructions, the key card is to be laid right here by the cup holder, between the cup holder and the armrest. With the new update that just recently went out, this step is no longer required. So all you need to do is flag that to open the car door with the B pillar, and then at that point you can drive away. You don't have to lay it there anymore.
Within 3 minutes. If you take longer than 3 minutes, you need to use the center console again, or get back out of the car, use the key card on the door twice, and then get back in.
Yeah.
Twice, because once you use it the one time, it locks instead of unlocking.
Right, because you just got out of your car. Of course you want
Yes.
to lock it.
So that was an update that just hit this week. So kind of interesting.
Definitely.
Looking to save time wherever they can and redundancy, which is great. Getting feedback from consumers, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yep,
speaking of locking the car, so this has happened to me once before, and I talked about it on the show. After getting an update, the lock on walk away feature turned off. And so there was like a week or so where I was just walking away and not locking my car because I'm just so used to it, right? I mean, I set the setting and it works. Well, it happened again.
no.
And yeah. And I was like, oh, I forgot something in the car. And I went out and as I'm approaching, I noticed the mirrors are out. And I'm like,
You didn't blink, nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, oh, crap, this turned off again. So after an update, maybe it's just my vehicle that has this problem, but it's worth double checking.
Thankfully for me, they only just diddle around with my radio. I'd be much more upset if they left me unsecured.
Yeah, I've been lucky that nothing's happened with it, so it's not
I should check that, Patrick, because after it started to lock itself the day I bought it, I don't know if I've ever looked back.
right.
I always listen for I turned on the toot, so if I don't hear it toot behind me, then I'm looking back and checking.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Sometimes I
turn
do
that on.
notice that the mirrors fold in.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen a few times when I've been slow to leave the scene.
Yeah.
But for all I know, the car could be unlocked. So that's another reason to use PIN to drive, everybody, if you don't already. And Derek has just made a comment that, of course, the having the PIN to drive is required as well with the key card to drive away without the console. So
Right.
that's something that was not mentioned. Thank you, Derek.
So that's a good life hack right there, to turn on the honk when lock feature.
Yes.
That way you don't have to turn around to look. If you hear your car beep, then you know that, hey, it worked.
But that wouldn't work in Southern California because there's every third car is a Tesla. So.
Right. But unless you saw another Tesla owner get out right behind you and near the area that you parked that you're walking away from, like assuming that you've got stereo hearing, then you're fine. So that was another thing to pay attention to is that so it's not just me but also Patrick. They change settings sometimes during the updates. So for the last 2 updates before this one, they turned on all the radios and set my dynamic radio from high to standard. And I specifically disabled the terrestrial radio and the XM radio because, one, I'm not paying for XM, and terrestrial radio is terrible here, so I don't use it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Next, Casey's got a story about a different battery pack for the same car. What's going on there?
So a few weeks ago, we talked about how Tesla was putting the prismatic cells in the Tesla China cars for the SR Plus. And they were going to take up the full battery tray as if it was a Model 3 long range, but it would only give you the range of a SR Plus. And they were prismatic, which is unique because all of Tesla's other cells are cylindrical. And somebody was tweeting around with Elon, and Elon mentioned that we're going to get that same battery pack here in the US for the SR Pluses. And in fact, somebody else found out that they're already in inventory for if you order an inventory SR Plus car. That's the standard range plus. And the way you can tell the difference right now is that the lithium iron pack has a 10-mile shorter range than the nickel manganese pack.
Mm-hmm.
But Elon pointed out that it really is effectively no difference because on the lithium iron, they prefer to be charged to 100% and stay there, while the nickel manganese will degrade rapidly if you let it sit at 100%. So they want to stay at 90%. So they even out in day-to-day usage. You do get a little bit, like I said, 10 more miles of range on nickel on long trips, but you want to minimize that unless it's an emergency. So effectively, it's the same thing. They're also more heat resistant, and there's debate about whether they actually supercharge faster as well.
Yeah, so that's a change, I guess. And Tesla's even sent out some letters to people that are waiting for the SR Plus, to indicate if you would have interest in jumping the line a little bit and would like the other battery pack. There is an opportunity to get your car earlier in some cases.
Yep.
So that's another plus for some people that have been waiting for the car and know that the wait time is getting substantial.
Yes, and it is confirmed that that these are being shipped from cattle to Tesla Fremont. So these are the Chinese batteries.
Oh, but they're not Chinese-made vehicles.
No, these are just Chinese packs. They're still Fremont cars.
Yeah, so that's an interesting change, and of course, there's all sorts of speculation that of course Tesla's been battery constrained, as we've mentioned several times on this show, and as time moves along, if the uptake is good on these cars, this may become something that allows them to ship more cars. If they can get these battery packs from another supplier and use the typical ones that they would use in other cars as well, then that's going to allow them to produce and distribute more cars. So I'm not sure how the market will handle it. I'm not sure because, of course, people are, they don't really know. Some of them don't know the difference in the first place.
Yeah.
Some of them are aware of it and are dead set against it. And there are others that are saying, hey, if I can get my car quicker, I'm all
that
for
part.
So it's going to be something that we'll have to see what the customer demands.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense for them to have two SR Plus flavors. So I think one of them is going to live and one will die.
Guaranteed. So Elon did say to all the battery manufacturers of the world is if you can, supply them in bulk at a reasonable price and then meet their minimum standards, he'll buy them from you. And apparently it doesn't even matter as long as they have a hard casing on them. I don't know that we'll see any pouch Teslas anytime soon based on the way that he was commenting on the Chevy Bolt fires. And he wasn't poking their eyes either. He was just saying that pouch cells are harder to engineer correctly because they move.
Yeah.
So I'm curious now. At Battery Day, they showed us the iron cells, but it appeared they were going to put them in the 4680 cans. So, do you think that once the 4680 can manufacturing is ready, we'll see our iron cells switch to that, and these prismatics will stick in China, or do you think these are going to be the new iron cells and the cans will just be nickel?
Well, we do have another story coming up on the 4680s, but I think you are correct. I think that can will become standard, but we'll talk a little bit about that more as we get into the show.
Absolutely.
Cool. Next, Casey's got another story. Speaking of some smoldering fires, what's this about the Dallas fire that happened a while ago?
Oh, I've got some news to share with you guys. So, weird. They're giving me a notice about sharing my screen as if I haven't been doing this for the last 6 months. All right, so here we go. Maybe that they did do a lot of updates over the week. So the folks at Dallas, Texas TV, they had a news posting and a tweet, which has since been deleted, and our friends at Drive Tesla Canada managed to screenshot it. And so they said this massive fire that everybody saw in Dallas earlier was caused by a Tesla basically exploding. And then there was a video, which is now gone, and you could see that there was a fire in the garage, and it was in front of a Model Y. There was no apparent explosion. And then our friend Green the Only managed to find several bits of evidence. Here is the car for sale at auction. Looks very exploded, doesn't it? I mean, it's in one piece. And the front is kind of burnt out, as if it was burned externally, right? Mm-hmm. Well, Green also managed to get a hold of the USB drive, and here's the video from said fire. Obviously, we see the fire come from the house into the car. It doesn't go from the car to the house.
Right. Yes, the house burned down the Tesla, not the Tesla burned down the house. There's
exactly.
Yeah, the order matters.
It does. And then he got another angle from the side repeater camera of the owner escaping the car. I don't know if she tried to move it with it plugged in, which they don't do, or if she just saw the fire and just beat feet out of there. But I personally probably would have tried to save my car, given that there was time.
In the heat of the moment, she forgot about being plugged in, and that the car won't move with it being plugged in.
Right, and then at this point, you got to save yourself because it's just a thing; it will be replaced. So she escapes.
Yeah, that's the smart thing.
The wise thing.
Yes, and so on the exploded car, here's the very intact USB drive from the glove box. Green found that. And then he found the battery pack. It's super exploded. I mean, because after stuff explodes, it goes back into one piece with no singeing, no nothing.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It looks
the closest we see that this thing was on fire is the connectors in the front, where the front was melted. I mean, it's what we keep saying, that you gotta watch your news sources, and this is just another case of the FUD and lazy journalism.
You know what I found? You know what I found even more disappointing than the lazy journalism?
Yeah,
was that when this was actually published and shown to be correct with the video evidence and the photographic evidence, you would think that Dallas TV would turn around and publish a rebuttal, a change, a correction, retraction. But instead, all they did was delete their original tweet.
The tweet and the article, I think.
That is disappointing.
That's not even journalism at that point.
They just tried to cover their tracks,
right?
After all these months, leaving that false story out in the public domain, and all they do is delete the tweet and story. They
could have got so much extra clicks and views, and they could have even not blamed themselves. They could have said, "Hey, we took the owner at their word about this being explodey. And obviously, clearly it's not. We made a mistake. Here's the retraction. Blah, blah, blah. Tesla fire." And they could have got another smattering of hits. But instead, they took the coward's way out and just deleted everything, which doesn't correct it. And all it does, it does stop the spread of false information. But now, because there's no correction, anybody who can't find it is just say, well, it was out there. I remember in Texas in May, there was a car that was exploding.
Right.
So if you're on Twitter out there, send Dallas TV your rebuttal to their Twitter account, since they published it everywhere. Go ahead, let them know what you think as well. Right. And since you're on Twitter at that point, if you haven't already, please follow us here at the Tesla Life, at the Tesla Life, and join the crew as we put a number of articles out all throughout the week, and stay up to date on Tesla news that way as well.
Absolutely.
Very good. Our next story is a bit of a rumor, but it's an interesting rumor, so we thought we would cover it. Patrick, what's this rumor about?
Oh, right. So, this is something that we shared on our Facebook page. And in New Mexico, Tesla has been having problems with the state allowing them to have stores and selling vehicles in the state. So the rumor is that they have a workaround, and that they have put their store on an Indian reservation. And
nice.
So the details of the location are not right here, but I actually had those in the stuff that we shared in our social media streams. And because of course the state has no regulation on an Indian reserve as opposed to state-owned land. So the same rules don't apply. Is that correct? Yeah, so that's why you find casinos often on reservations, even though they might have state laws that don't allow gambling in the state.
Blue laws, if you will.
Yeah, so this area, they're covered by federal law, not state law. So that is the way that Tesla's getting around these restrictions in the state is by not having it under the state's jurisdiction.
Interesting. So I guess we will see if this rumor comes true. Actually, if anyone is in New Mexico and knows of the location, which is published on our Facebook page, you could, I guess, go take a look and see if that is happening. It certainly they wouldn't be hiding it, but it'd be interesting to see if we're going to have a new opening in another state that currently does not allow, I guess, direct sales on state land.
North Carolina.
Yeah, and if this works here, maybe it'll be something they do in other places.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, another interesting story that came up this week is that, and the title was basically Tesla may be able to sell you energy in Texas before they can sell you a car. Because Tesla has applied to become an energy supplier in Texas. They've submitted the paperwork. It has not been approved or disapproved at this point, but it's now under investigation, I guess, by the state legislature. So they've applied to do this. They've also updated. Remember, we were telling you about that large battery installation that was going in near Houston and was being installed by I guess it was a third-party contractor who was contracted to Tesla, but no one knew it was Tesla initially until all the Tesla boxes started to show up. And then people were trying to shoo people away from the site to try to keep it under wraps. But of course, once the word Tesla has been released, the drones just come in and it doesn't matter. You can't stop it. But they also indicated that they were going to be putting in a second battery installation in Texas as well. And this, of course, coupled with the auto bidder that has been successful in other markets across the seas, Australia being one, Great Britain.
Germany being afraid of it.
Germany, yeah. This is something that probably is going to apply for their plans for Texas. So that's kind of interesting. That will be the first in the United States that Tesla has applied to be this energy supplier.
Exciting.
Definitely.
Exactly.
So the question then is, does ERCOT, there's two things there. Does ERCOT and their competitors, do they have, or not competitors, their colleagues, do they have a lobbying advantage over the legislature there? And even if they do, does this black eye from this winter make it so that they aren't as powerful as they could have been?
Yeah, I got to believe that the black eye isn't going to help them. If they're indicating that we don't need any more competition in our state, I think it's going to be tougher to argue that they've kind of fell flat on their face during this past winter.
Yep.
But we'll have to see. I'm not sure how long the deliberation goes on, but I'm sure we'll be apprised when a decision has been made. So that's going to be interesting to watch.
Indeed.
Next, I wanted to talk a little bit about the 4680s, which we made reference to earlier in the show. This story from Teslarati has indicated that Tesla is now lining up additional battery suppliers that will be able to supply 4680s for them. Now, we know that the 4680s that were being made in Fremont, we've heard stories of 70 to 80% on tap. The particular batteries are having a success rate of, but we've also known that they haven't started to supply them in any cars at this point yet. So ahead of them even getting that formula nailed down through their own test factory, Tesla is out making deals with other battery suppliers to bring them on board so that once the formula is correct and once everything's nailed down as to how these batteries are made, they will be able to, I guess, introduce volume into the production by bringing other battery manufacturers to the table with their abilities to supply the same 4680 cans with the formula that works that Tesla has been working on now for over a year. So good planning that they're playing the long game here. They know that they're going to get the formula straightened out. It hasn't been straightened out as quickly as they want it to be with the 4680s, but they know they're going to do it. They know that the company has bet on this, and as that formula gets locked down, they'll be able to bring in volume to the picture with all these other manufacturers helping them out by supplying that same formula. So excellent strategy here, getting these people lined up and ready to go, and then then all Tesla will have to do is, of course, check that the formula is as it is, and they'll be able to push the stuff out in volume. And then the car production spike will go to a completely new level.
Yes. And in addition to these new suppliers that we're hearing about in China now, we still have the rumors of the existing suppliers of Panasonic, Samsung, and LG all having experimented with the 4680 cans. And then the bonus for the LG side is that these are rigid and not pouch cells. And hopefully Tesla has a better QA process about them than GM and Hyundai did, because this will be important for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's where I think that, as Casey mentioned earlier in the show, that I think the 4680 is going to be pretty well locked down, because I think Tesla has decided that this is the way the company is going to go on. So I don't think others are going to be supplying these batteries and pouches in the future. Once the formulas have been locked down, I think everyone else is going to be required to toe the line, and that would also mean supplying them in 4680 can form.
Right, but look how long they kept the 18650 around, right? And
it's still around. The Plaid is using 18650s.
Right. So I think they have support for these other form factors, and they are desperate for batteries. So they're not going to say, no, we won't take your batteries until you get them into 4680. They will take whatever they can get as long as it's viable.
But once it does get dialed in, and they are getting the volume that they require, I think those other form factors will be the first to go.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I noticed that you have output from 3 lines for a year. It's a shame they're in a pouch. If you couldn't roll them up and stick them in a hard can, we might be interested in buying them all at this price. But we might consider buying them in a pouch for this much lower price than you're selling them for with your no customers.
Right. There's so many different chemistries. We just talked about iron versus nickel batteries, and now then they've also got all these different cans they can put them in, or prismatic cells. That's just a lot of variants to keep track of, and it also limits their ability to mix and match when they need to, when they have a surplus in one area to shift it over to another. And so I think you're right, Mark, that if the goal is to get to this uniformity, I just don't think that it's a short path to get there.
Oh, no, not short.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree. Next, since we're in the throes of summer, we thought we'd go to a frozen lake and talk a little bit about a story that happened last winter. Patrick's got that.
That's right.
An update.
Yeah.
Like this is what you do when your story has new data. You don't delete it. You update it so you get more clicks.
Yeah, right. Yes, I think it was November of 2019 when we first talked about this. A mysterious Model X turned up to be
Crispy,
scorched. Melted out on a frozen lake in Vermont. And it was just like, okay, how did this get here? What happened? And there was a lot of wild...
a photo that I can share here.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, so there was a lot of wild speculation about, was this some type of insurance fraud, or did they have
That's
a
what we all
problem,
suspected was insurance fraud.
But it was all just, we didn't have the facts. So now here we are 18, 19 months later, and, we have some more data. And... this is so let's just get down to some facts here. Someone named Michael A. Gonzalez has been arrested, and he's accused of 5 counts of car theft. And the way he was doing this is quite interesting. He was putting down his deposit and ordering things from Tesla, and then taking possession of the vehicle before his bank transfer had cleared. And so this was a loophole that Tesla had in their system that he was able to find and exploit, and it was all in the means of getting people their vehicles faster. But then he would flip these vehicles as soon as he could. He would sell them to dealerships, he would sell them through online ads, and apparently this last one he couldn't get rid of fast enough, and so took it out on the lake and set it on fire to file an insurance claim. And insurance agents, they don't like to pay claims, and so they're going to investigate things. and maybe a little more than somebody at a used car dealership might. Just maybe, I'm saying. And so you got away with things 4 times, so you're going to push it to do a 5th. Well, this is not the first time this person has had a run-in with the law. This article here that we're looking at on 7 Days VT, 7 Days Vermont, says that he has the nickname Pizza Man because in 2018 he was arrested after he confused a uniformed cop with a pizza delivery driver. So
you might as well have just looking for a stripper.
Strippergram, yes. So yeah, that's the update on this incredible story. This is quite the tale.
And even more incredible on this was he didn't get away with it with Tesla every time. At one point, whoever his contact was figured it out and didn't let him buy another car. So then he flipped it to somebody else's name and address, and he got away with it one more time before he got busted.
Amazing.
Allegedly. Yeah.
Amazing that someone would do this multiple times and believe that they could just keep doing it. Like,
right.
You gotta realize that Tesla is losing hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
And you think that they would look at it and go, yeah, we're going to have to change this so this doesn't happen anymore. But this guy doesn't clue into it. He just keeps flipping them or keep trying to flip them multiple times. And when he fails with the insurance company, he even tries it one more time. And of course, that was his undoing. You do it too many times, you're bound to get caught. It's just a matter of time.
So what was interesting on this was, he was losing 20 grand at each flip. I would have thought he would have, when I first came into the article, I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of clever that he's playing the float. He's getting the car, flipping it, and then giving the money back to Tesla, and then using the profit to buy a new one. No. He wasn't doing that at all. He was losing money on every flip.
Not a smooth criminal. This is
totally
the opposite.
Oh, what a mess. What a mess.
You should read the article because there's something about like he'd stored a vehicle once, and then when he got out of jail, he went to go pick up the vehicle, and then that's when they caught him. It's like, but they didn't just turn on the GPS in the car. I mean,
yeah,
mine was tracked the whole train ride.
I like what he said to the insurance company, how the car caught on fire. He was going out ice fishing. He got out of the car, walked away, and he heard a hiss. So he turned around and looked back, and the car was completely engulfed in flames.
The agents might be like, fires don't hiss right away.
Yeah, and the agents or the insurance companies go, well, you're going to have to come in and sign an affidavit, and we're going to go through a proper investigation with you. And
we want the proof of ownership document.
And he of course decided that he couldn't do that, so he didn't show.
Right. Yeah, and the reason they asked for the document, or the reason he didn't have the documents, because that's when his Tesla guy had caught on that this guy isn't going to pay. So he didn't turn over the ownership documents this time, whereas all the previous 3 times he had. So that's probably why the dealerships were taking it, and that's probably why he was unable to unload this car, because there were no documents proving that he actually owned this car, unlike all the others.
Exactly.
Well,
one other topic, which will leave the frozen lake behind, and we'll head down south to Florida, where it's hot and steamy today. And this, of course, is about a story that we've talked about the past 2 weeks. This is the Florida Fort Lauderdale tunnel that we were talking about. The Boring Company, of course, had submitted a proposal for a twin tunnel system to go from downtown Fort Lauderdale over to the beach. I believe it was about 1.6 miles, I believe, so a little bit over 2 kilometers each way. And of course, when the city of Fort Lauderdale receives an unsolicited bid or proposal, they're required by law to open it up for 45 days for other companies to produce counter proposals. Mm-hmm. And we, of course, on the Tesla Life had said, we don't think they're going to get a counter proposal for a twin tunnel system in Fort Lauderdale. And boy, were we correct. They got nothing. So now the Boring Company is able to proceed with the city and provide more detail, get into some exploration phase where they could see, for example, what type of earth is under the ground along the route, what kind of obstacles they could see coming up, and to get into the details with the city about other things, about the installation of an actual tunnel, about costs, about how the tunnel would be paid for. All these things, the details will start to come out within this exploration phase that they're now able to enter because no one else countered a bid.
I like one of the comments was, where did all those better alternatives go? It was in sarcastic.
Yeah. Everybody who thinks trains are so cool underground, subways.
Right. And somebody else asked about, they said, why would there be two bidirectional tunnels? And they thought, why wouldn't there just be two unidirectional tunnels? And somebody else pointed out to them that it's a beach. So you're going to have all your traffic in the morning and the evening coming to and from the beach. And then during the day, you can set it one in each direction. But at night and in the morning, you probably want all the traffic to go in one direction. Or maybe breaks in the secondary tunnel to let the stragglers come back the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So this is going to be really interesting. I can't wait to start seeing the details on this and going through some of those finer points about what can be expected. And of course, this is the Boring Company's second kick at the can. We know about those other projects that are still kind of hanging out there, but not a lot of information has come in since the initial project was given. And the one that keeps coming to my mind is the one for the Ontario, California airport. That one's really been put on ice. There's not a lot, pardon the pun, but it's been there's been a lot of waiting with that. We know it's not dead, but it's not moving either. So we'll have to see how this Fort Lauderdale one starts to move as well. And of course, there's a ton of open questions here about how the tunnel is going to be paid for. And of course, the citizens of Fort Lauderdale are going to be really concerned with that. Even though this option is much cheaper than a regular tunnel, it will have to be seen as to what the Boring Company can come up with for options.
I tagged our skeptics on the other show, and neither of them responded to this.
Are you kidding? They didn't even respond.
I figured I'd get some sort of snarky skepticism, but I didn't even get that.
And of course, if you have interest in the more snarky side of things, you can join us every week on What Drives Us. So free plug for them. But it's an interesting new project, and I'm going to be very curious to see how fast or how slow this project goes. And of course, it's not a foregone conclusion that's going to be accepted, but the details will be forthcoming.
It's a lot closer of a drive for me than Vegas. I might have to go around some barriers.
Casey is going to make one of those stories. I guarantee it. And he'll be smart enough to put like some white stickers on the car that says like car 26 or something.
Car 26 boring. Why is that black car so shiny?
Oh man, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Well, if you haven't already and are this far into our video, please give us a thumbs up at this point. And if you haven't subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Need your help. Please subscribe. It helps the channel out. The thumbs up helps us. It sounds weird, but it does help us. Every time you watch a video, giving us a thumbs up or subscribing for the first time helps us out immensely. And we thank you for doing so. With that, Casey, what's going on your channel? What do you got coming for us this week?
So we've got our Sunday chats as usual, but on top of that, I'm going to try to get this video out before the software update that follows it comes out. And then after that, I got to go back and put in the ones that we missed. Then there's a piece I've done that I need to edit on what it's like living with level 1 charging. And then there are a couple of accessories I wanted to show as well. So we've got some fun stuff coming up on the channel. If you go to youtube.com/CaseyGreen, Kacey, GREN, you'll see them there as they are ready.
Very good. Definitely follow Casey on his YouTube channel. Patrick, what do you got cooking besides the article you mentioned today on carswithcords.net?
For the whole first year that I had the Model X, I just used level 1, and it more than covered my commute, which made it great. So it is possible. Although I have to admit, having level 2 is
Much nicer.
Much nicer. Yeah.
So for all the Model 3 owners, they're like, oh, what are you complaining about? It's 6 miles an hour. No. On a Model X, it's 3 miles an hour.
Right. Yes.
And an 80 amp charger will get you 40 miles an hour.
Big difference.
Yes.
Big difference. Yeah, so as always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at OEVA, and I blog at Cars with Cords. And what am I blogging about? Our whole adventure for going towards a future free from fossil fuels.
Fantastic. Patrick works that into the narrative every week, and we appreciate it. We'd like
that one week that you took it from him, and the 1 week you forgot. I did.
Yeah, right in the middle of it. I just snatched victory from him. Without even remembering, without even knowing I did it. But we'd like to
Mark's like, it feels like this needs to be said.
We'd like to thank Lee Moon for the music he supplies us with every week. And with that, we will see you next week and find out what's going on in the Tesla life.
Absolutely. Yes, Derek, 3 miles an hour on Model X. It's super nice. I forgot to turn off the stuff.
Yep, can't hear it.
Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Absolutely.
Stay positive. Test negative.
Yeah.
There it is.
Thanks, Lee.